Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The latest USDA supply and demand report had the market moving in opposite directions on Wednesday, with soybeans moving closer to the $17 mark while corn pulled back a bit. Let's look at the key numbers, starting with ending stocks. First, the current corn crop is still in the bin. Supplies pegged at 1.2 billion bushels. That's compared to just over 3 billion last year. And that corn price now expected to be $5.70 a bushel. Now for soybeans, 120 million bushels currently, but look at what it was in May of last year, over 405 million. And look at that price now, $13.85 a bushel. While new crop corn is projected higher to be 1.5 billion. Now for soybeans, also higher at 140 million.
I don't think there's any surprise there. If you take the trendline yield and the prospective planted estimates on bean plantings, the crop came in right at right at what would have been projected by that. So I don't think there's any surprises there. We just need to figure out what the usage is going to be, and of course what the actual yield, not the projected yield, is going to be.
And for wheat, 872 million bushels versus 774 million in new crop. And here's what USDA says it will take to get those new crop amounts. For corn, it's predicting farmers will produce 15 billion bushels. That's a billion bushels more than last year, and that averages out to slightly more than 91 million acres with a yield of 179.5 bushels per acre. That's a 7.5 bushel increase over last year. USDA is saying corn use here at home is expected to decline compared to last year, along with lower exports. But forecasters say corn used for ethanol is projected to increase.
It looks like on the corn side, the WASDE report is showing forecasting an increase in production and domestic use. Part of that's going to be some feed usage, and some of that is projected more travel this summer. So there'll be some gasoline use there. Probably a decrease in exports.
Looking at the nation's soybean crop, it's forecast to be 4.4 billion bushels. That's up 270 million from last year. More than 87 million acres of beans will get planted, yielding 50.8 bushels per acre, slightly higher than last year. Now USDA calling for lower supplies, lower exports, and higher crush. Wheat production, it's forecast to be 1.8 billion bushels. That's up 3% from last year. More than 46 million acres of wheat will be planted. Yields projected at 50 bushels per acre, also up slightly from last year. Now it's worth noting that winter wheat production is up 10% from last season.
But when you look at total wheat production, it's right at trade expectation 7.2, which suggests that the spring wheat projection is coming in below what the trade was looking for. We've got a big cut in spring wheat and durum wheat acres from a year ago. But what these numbers suggest is a spring wheat crop and durum crop of 589 million bushels. That'd be down from 665 million bushels a year ago. So that's reflecting the lower plantings and maybe just suggesting a squeezing down a bit on the yield expectations there.
We've been reporting on the dry weather in South America. USDA trimming 7 million metric tons from its Brazilian corn crop, but leaving its soybean crop unchanged.
We've seen them have significant stress in that crop over really the last couple months. It's been growing, especially now that we've hit kind of the end of their rainy season down there. Private estimates within Brazil have certainly been showing that they're expecting the corn production to be somewhere in the mid to upper 90s in terms of 90 million metric tons of corn production. USDA lowered their corn export number 7 million metric tons from their April report. And that was about 1 million metric ton below what trade analysts were expecting.
And USDA is continuing to step its corn import forecast higher when it comes to China, raising it to 26 million metric tons, well above the 15 million metric tons forecast earlier. We will have more on the numbers coming up in analysis.